Hello, this is Coach from DFS Coach Talk. Real quickly before you watch the podcast, I want to mention a couple quick things. We really appreciate you tuning in. We have a special offering here at DFS Coach Talk that is different than any other DFS provider in the industry, and that's why we're the fastest growing. We build everything by hand. We have a group of pros that put in hours and hours every day preparing winning lineups for you in the NBA, NFL, PGA, and Major League Baseball. And we're also doing bonus coverage right now of KBO until sports come back. So join now, get a free month this whole month. The memberships don't start until July 30th. So enjoy that, make some money, build some bankroll, and definitely engage with us on all social media. We're DFS Coach Talk everywhere, and we'd love to engage with you and get you involved. So enjoy the podcast, and let's take down some money and just crush it.
Summer is here, and sports are finally back, which can only mean one thing. It's time to kick back, relax, and make some cash. Everyone has to start somewhere, which is why you want to get off on the right foot by choosing an established book like MyBookie.ag. And with all the major sports seasons just around the corner, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. Dynamic betting lines and a simple-to-use platform make the process easier than it's ever been. Create your account in just a few easy steps, deposit, and begin placing your bets. Sign up now using promo code COACHTALK to get your deposit matched halfway, all the way up to $1,000, plus $25 extra free play. That's promo code COACHTALK. Use it to score yourself an extra piece of the pie. With MyBookie, you bet, you win, and most importantly, when you win, you get paid.
Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. Today is Thursday, July 16th. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am very honored to be here with two gentlemen today for a three-man podcast, and it also happens to be the newest member to the Coach Talk family, and we couldn't be more thrilled about that. So without any further ado, obviously everybody knows Mr. Andrew Hansen here, and also now Mr. Freddy Mills. So, gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Yeah, well, this is exciting, Coach. I'm pumped for the three-man booth with Freddy along here for the first time. And Freddy, just want to welcome you again here. You've started producing the articles that were so popular on Twitter, and you've been sharing them with us here at DFS Coach Talk to put on our website. So we're thrilled about that, to have you as a partner. Want to welcome you in here on the podcast and invite you to tell folks a little bit about how you got so passionate about the KBO.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really looking forward to being with you guys and talking about the KBO. I've been a lifelong baseball fan, like most, and during this whole COVID-19 shutdown, I was really looking for some way to scratch my sports fan itch, and heard about Korean baseball and just jumped headfirst right into the league. Learning about the different teams, players, rivalries, everything like that. When the game started, of course, watching every day, getting to know some of the intricacies of the league, little differences between that and the MLB. And I've loved it. I'm sure even when MLB comes back, I'm going to stick with following the KBO because it's a game I've certainly enjoyed, and just love talking about it.
That's fantastic, and I'll tell you, we've who thought we'd be covering Korean baseball like this? It's absolutely a riot. But obviously, when we launched Coach Talk earlier this year, we ran headfirst into this COVID shutdown. And, we determined that we were going to continue to provide for our members. And we've done that with KBO, and we've actually done fantastic. I almost hate to switch back as much as it's tough to get up in the middle of the night all the time, which there are time differences. All three of us are on a different time. You're like an hour and a half off, which is really weird. Freddy, and then Andrew's an hour off. But we've been able to be very successful in KBO. We love it, but it's going to be from a DFS perspective. You're going to see a transition now from KBO to MLB, and then we're going to have NBA right on its heels. So, we'll be adjusting accordingly, but we still have these couple of weeks left of KBO that we want to enjoy it and stay hot. And, having Freddy aboard is just awesome. And hopefully we're going to be able to get him involved in a few other things we're doing, maybe some MLB, maybe some PGA, and we're going to just keep chatting with that. But fantastic to have a new member, Canadian. So we've got some Canadian members. They got to love that we have a Canadian staff member. And how about that is what I guess I should say. But anyway, it's great to have you join us. And, mainly today's podcast, I'm going to really try to stick to the hosting duo since I have our top two KBO brainiacs here and let them break the slate down for you. I will tell you right off the bat, the 5 games look good weather-wise. I don't think we're going to have any issues. Only one game has a slight chance of rain, but we should be fine, and that's always can be a very difficult piece of it. Also want to share something real quickly here, just on a private note, but I'm going to be doing podcasts the next 7 or 8 days in a row, so figured I'd share it now. I've been feeling a little under the weather since this weekend, and got tested for COVID, and unfortunately it came back positive this morning. So I am walking, talking COVID guy now. So I guess if anything, I wanted to share that because our listeners, are loyal to us every day, and our members, and I'm doing fine. I mean, I have some symptoms, some chest issues and a little bit of a sore throat and things like that, but not the full-blown, loss of taste and smell, high fever, nothing like that. So my doctor thinks I'm just, steaming through it. I've got a lockdown here pretty much with no one around till the 24th. So I'm going to be reaching out to all of our listeners and our members because it's just going to be me and the dogs. So it's going to be interesting. So just want to throw it out there in case I sound a little scratchy or anything. That's the reason. But I'm doing fine. I'm totally zoned in. We're not going to miss a beat with anything we're doing with KBO and then MLB, NBA. Everything's going to keep rocking and rolling. So we're going to get this started. Wanted to share that just real quickly. Want to thank our sponsors for bringing this podcast to you today, and that's mybookie.ag, the place to go for all your sports wagering and casino action. Go to mybookie.ag and use the promo code CoachTalk, all one word, no space, and you receive up to $1,000 as a 50% bonus to what your first deposit is. And just for being a listener to Coach Talk, you get a $25 free play. And also our friends at TVG, go to tvg.com, or you can go to our website, dfscoachtalk.com, and click on the banner that says risk-free $300 bet, and it's exactly what it says. TVG, you deposit the money in your account, bet $300 on a horse, he loses, TVG gives you the entire $300 back. So if you hit it, you got a nice big little bankroll there that you can shift around and use wherever you need to. So anyway, we appreciate those sponsors. We thank you for listening in today. And again, just a hearty welcome to Freddy, who I'm going to say I think looks a little like Gary Woodland from the PGA. So I want to get that out of the way. And I didn't play Gary Woodland. Now I feel a little guilty, Freddie. I'm sorry about that.
My golf game is nothing like his, unfortunately.
That's
I don't buy that. That sounds like a hustle. That's a hustle right there. So we're going to dive into this. I'll set the stage on these. Like I say, we expect all of them to play, so I think we're in good shape. All right. Before we do that, though, I got to ask you one question, Andrew. I know you're going to kill me, but it's such a horror story. You got to share it. Tell us about your little 5-team parlay last night.
Oh, my gosh. It was looking so good when I woke up, at like 8 o'clock. It was basically the 6th or 7th inning across the league. With one eye, I opened my eye and kind of checked the phone, see what's going on. and everything's looking good. So it was a 5-team parlay. I went with KT Wiz on the run line. They covered it. Doosan on the run line. They covered it. I
Nice.
had Dinos to win. That was an easy victory. I had Samsung plus 1.5. Now that went back and forth a little bit, but always looked pretty strong down the stretch. And of course they won outright. And so the only piece left of the puzzle was Lotte against LG LG against Lotte, right? And so I looked at my phone and it was LG was up 10-4 in the 6th inning.
Yep.
And so I'm like, well, this is perfect. This is going to be like a better than 10-1 payout. And before I know it, they lose 15-10. The bullpen just crushed me.
Oh.
And so I wanted to ask Freddy about this because I know, following him on Twitter, he's been all over the betting side of things. And of course, we focus on DFS, but we're big into betting as well. And we know how there's such a big crossover between betting and DFS. And, Freddy has been very successful with betting tips and making great plays. And I've noticed here recently that one of the things he talks about is obviously how bad some of these bullpens are and avoiding the full game bet and going with the first 5. So, Freddy, was this just, exhibit A of what not to do with a parlay? You stay away from the full game bet in the KBO?
Yeah, that was certainly a tough beat this morning. I was talking to a few people on Twitter as well who suffered a similar fate. It's definitely something that I've learned the hard way as well. Through the first month of the season, I had a couple of games get away from me that looked really good. And as I got to know the league a little bit better, just made the decision to, if I'm going to bet on the games, I generally try and focus on the first 5 because I can isolate the starting pitchers. If I do like a matchup, I just feel a little bit better of knowing who's going to be on the mound versus who's going to potentially be in there in the later innings. If you're talking league wide, I would put it probably as being less than 5 guys that I would look at as being high quality arms that you can probably trust to shut things down. Kiwoom has a pair. Anyone who's watched the games on ESPN earlier this week, An Mu-jin, Jo Sang-woo, those guys are lights out. That's why I favor them when playoff time comes. But if you look around at the other teams, it's just not there. So you do see a lot of funny things happen late in games. So I guess from a betting point of view, that's certainly something I've tried to do a little bit more. Obviously, it doesn't always work out. I was lucky in that game this morning because they fell down 4-0, but then scored 5 runs in the 5th to win the first 5. So I got a little bit lucky there.
Wow.
But it's just something that I think I'm going to continue with. Because like I said, I would rather isolate the starters and not worry about the bullpens at all.
Yeah, and it's funny because the 2 guys you mentioned there for Kiwoom, those are bullpen pitchers. And a lot of the folks who follow us and play DFS don't even know those names because you can't play a relief pitcher. So you focus on the starters. You pay attention to the bullpens and their ERAs, but you don't really need to know those names as much as you do. But it is very helpful. And, it brings up a topic that I think is worth discussing real quick is, usually when we use a starting pitcher in daily fantasy, we don't want to use the batters against him. But with some of these matchups, you can almost predict that the starter's not going to go 5. He may only go 3 or 4. And then it's really, you're getting the majority of the game with your bats against the bullpen. So even though if you don't like the matchup to start, say it's lefty-lefty, but you can predict that the starter's going to go out in 3 or 4 innings, you can still, use that batter and just predict that he's going to be successful once the bullpen arms get in there.
Yeah, I made a point actually on Twitter yesterday about NC's matchup with Kiwoom today. Kiwoom was starting Moonsung Hyon, who's basically a bullpen guy. He pitched on Monday, so that told me all I needed to know about that. He wasn't going to go any longer than 3-4 innings if he was efficient. And with An Mu-jin and Jo Sang-woo pitching both Tuesday and Wednesday, I had a pretty good idea that they wouldn't be available either. So that made me really like NC, not only to win, but also to score runs. So I had them to win and go over their team total. It worked out perfectly. Obviously, having Ruzinski on the mound made it all much more comfortable, but things like that, like knowing bullpen usage and knowing teams' top guys, can certainly help you maybe pick spots for team totals. And like you said, for DFS, if you're looking for certain matchups where hitters may have an advantage against some of the weaker bullpen arms, which is what NC faced today, you can probably be pretty successful.
Yeah, those are great points and great insight. I mean, we certainly promote the sports betting side of it. We hope everybody goes to mybookie.ag to do that and use our promo code Coach Talk, because you get so much out of it. But just to put that all into perspective together, from both the betting side and the DFS side, the one commonality that has been stated here with you two guys, and I believe this is the same. The Korean baseball side of things, they have a nice about 7 or 8 starting pitchers that are good pitchers that can get it done, and so you get a rotation of good pitchers. You can find a couple of them every night that are borderline major league 5th starter kind of pitchers, but really good in KBO. However, the weakness that I see is the bullpens across the board. Even Kiwoom, who has the best, is not like lights out all the time. Most of the teams, even the best teams, especially the Dinos, who have the worst bullpen, you're going to have a lot of teams scoring runs late. So betting that first 5 innings, as opposed to Major League Baseball, where you have the 7th inning specialist, the 8th inning setup, and the 9th inning closer, they don't have any of that in KBO. So, the hitting's there, the defense is there, the athleticism, there's a decent group of starters, but where the weakness is that I see in the KBO there's some horrible relief pitchers. So factor that in when you build your DFS lineups, and certainly factor that in and take Freddy's advice on betting those first 5 innings, because you get a much truer aspect of what happens in the game. So great stuff, and hopefully, our DFS and our betting folks out there really take advantage of that information. All right, let's jump right to this slate. It is a 5:30 a.m. Eastern time start as usual, 4:30 here in Dallas, which means I'm in Discord at about 3:50. You gotta love KBO. Hanwha Eagles 17-45 at the LG Twins 31-29-1, which is really odd in baseball to have a tie, but it's there. So we've got Jinwoo Kim 0-0 with a 4.39 ERA, and Chan Gyu Lim, or I believe it's pronounced Im, is 4-3 with a 4.49 ERA. Our friends at mybookie.ag, the updated lines to the moment, have LG a massive 322 favorite. They're even a 149 favorite on the run line. And the over-under in that game is 9.5, which is the low number of the day. The other 4 are all 10.5. So expecting maybe the LG pitcher to lock them down a little bit. Andrew, how do you guys see this game? I'll have you start off.
Yeah, I'm excited about game 1 because I like the LG pitcher and I like the LG bats. Obviously, Im is facing Hanwha, not a strong hitting team. He was excellent against them the first time, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts. Lefties are only hitting 204 against him. Really good strikeout rate, 57 strikeouts in 58 1/3 innings. So he's probably my favorite pitcher, all things considered. On DraftKings, he's a nice price of 8,200.
Yeah.
And then these bats, the LG bats, we love to stack the lefties against an average or poor right-handed pitcher. And this one, off to a rough start, 4 1/3 innings. He's already given up 2 home runs to lefties. And these lefties are better than the ones he gave up home runs to. So, 1 through 4, C. Lee, Ji Hwan Oh, H. Kim, Ramos, all those guys are in play. I'm going to be stacking those guys in multiple lineups. How about you, Freddy? You think LG is worth the heavy price here?
I certainly do. Just to add a couple of things on Im. He has a 57-15 strikeout to walk ratio. So anytime you see a 4-to-1 ratio for a starting pitcher, it gives you a good idea that they're going to be successful long term, and it's not fluky. If you look then at Hanwha is 3rd in the KBO in Ks. So with his high K rate, he basically averages a strikeout an inning. And their propensity to strike out, I think he'd be a great DFS play. You did mention that he holds left-handed hitters to a 204 average. Hanwha recently, after they've recalled some of their players and they've got a couple of guys back from the injured list, most days now they have a starting lineup with 6 left-handed bats. So I think it's a great matchup for him with his ability to handle left-handed hitters and his ability to get to strikeout. He's a really good changeup, which is why I think he handles left-handed hitters well. With respect to the LG hitters, I would be totally on board with their strategy. I noticed, it's a very small sample size with the Hanwha starter, but it's a 500 average against left-handed hitters so far. And we chatted a bit yesterday about Kim Hyun-soo. He hits third for LG. Had a small bit of time there with the Orioles, and I think maybe the Phillies in MLB, and he's been red hot. He has 6 multi-hit games in his last 10. Hits 327 against right-hand pitching. And as I was saying yesterday, when these guys with MLB pedigree get hot, they're probably guys you should ride in DFS. So he would probably be my top play in this game, and Shangu would probably be my top pitcher if I was going to play DFS for sure.
Excellent. I'll just real quickly state I'm completely agree, and we may get a little bit of chalkiness in this one, but I think Im's an outstanding play. Again, there's only three predominant strikeout guys, and again, it's such a differentiator on those, on the points scored by the pitchers. You got to really put an extra emphasis on the strikeouts. And Im with 57, Wright with 51, and Brooks with 66. They're the 3 big dogs today. They happen to be the highest 3 price pitchers, but if you want the guys that can, throw an 8 or 9 strikeout game in the mix, it's those 3. And Im's the cheapest of the 3. So he's in play, and I completely agree with 2, 3, or 4-man stack at the top of that LG lineup. It just looks too juicy to pass up. So great stuff. Let's jump to game 2. KTW 31-30 at the NC Dinos, 40-19-1. Hyung Jun So, a forward 5 record with a 6.23 ERA, and Michael Wright 6-2 with a 3.93 ERA. And our mybookie.ag line on this game has the NC Dinos minus 238. So the third biggest chalk. We got 3 big chalk today. LG, this one, and then we got one coming up. But the Dinos are minus 238. Not bad, minus 121 on the run line, even though they're home and they're not going to get that extra at bat. That's still a pretty good number. And as I said, the 10.5 run line. So let's start with you, Andrew.
All right, well, this is really a fun matchup to look at, Mike Wright against KT. So I'm curious what Freddy thinks. I am a little bit hesitant to play Mike Wright. I know he's got, great strikeout numbers, but he does give up home runs, and he's faced KT twice. And, he's had solid outings, only giving up 1 earned run both times, but the lefties got on base quite a bit. B. Kang faced him 6 times and got on base 4 times. Rojas got on base 3 out of his 6 plate appearances, and Yang Ho Jo got on base 2 out of his 3 plate appearances. And if those lefties have similar success against him tonight, and any of these righties that have been pretty hot lately, have success, then I think, KT could, really challenge Wright and possibly even win. I know the Dinos bats are in a good spot too, but the other thing with Mike Wright is his maximum length of outing this year is 6 innings. He has not exceeded that yet, and he uses a lot of pitches. So I may not get to him as much as other folks will, and I'm hoping that'll give a little bit of an edge. I'll say quickly on the Dinos bats, they're in a great spot. Lefties and righties are both hitting over 300 against Young John So. So Minwoo Park, I'm looking at him. And then I may get a mini stack in some lineups down in the order with the Dinos, Jin Hyuk No. He got on base 4 times yesterday. And Jin Sung Kang, 4,200. I mean, it's just incredible that he's batting 8th and 9th with the numbers he has. I mean, Freddie, does that just tell you all you need to know about how deep the Dinos batting lineup is, that he's down at 8th and 9th recently?
Yeah, they're pretty loaded. I think they prefer to have him toward the bottom. That's where he started the season. This is a guy who kind of came out of nowhere. I don't even think he was supposed to start the season starting lineup. But when he got a chance, he caught fire. Had a great start. Then they did move him up in the lineup, and he kind of cooled off a little bit. So I think they may prefer to keep him down there, maybe keep the pressure off him, that sort of thing. But you're certainly right. I mean, the lineup, there's no break in that lineup for a pitcher. It's loaded from 1 to 9. I got a bunch to say on this game, actually. If you're looking at it from a DFS perspective, you are looking at 2 of the worst bullpens in the league here. Okay, so there's a good chance that you're going to get runs late in the game in this series, even though you're going to have some quality starters. You got Wright going here, who, I'll get to him in a second. You're going to have Chang Mo go Saturday, and you're going to have Despaigne go Sunday. So you're going to have some good starters going, but you got those bullpens coming in late where I think some runs are going to be had. With respect to Mike Wright, I mean, the numbers look okay, 3.92 ERA, but if you look at the peripheral stats, I'm a real big fan of fielding independent pitching stat. It's basically measures a pitcher's ability on the stats that they can control, like strikeouts, walks, hit batters, home runs, things of that nature. So he actually has a 5.03 FIP, which says that his ERA should be closer to that. Right. The big issue with Wright has been, as Andrew mentioned, pitch counts, the walks. His manager actually sat him down a couple of starts recently before his start and really kind of tried to get him to pound the strike zone. I mean, his stuff is really good for this league. He has a pretty good fastball, good curveball. He just doesn't throw enough strikes. He gets himself into trouble through walks, which if you're facing a KT team who has a lot of dangerous bats, if you put some runners on base, you can get hurt. So like you're saying, I'd probably avoid him, even though he's probably one of the top plays or top price guys, just due to the walks and then the dangerous nature of some of these hitters. I wouldn't necessarily go that route tonight. On the other side of things, Hyun Jun is a young guy. He was their first round pick last year. He's only 18 years old. They skipped him in the rotation last time. That's probably going to be a pretty common thing you're going to see across the KBO. They noticed some mechanical issues with him. He was great in his first start back, but like most teenagers, he's probably going to be pretty inconsistent all season. He gets a little bit fastball happy. Again, like most teenagers, his off-speed stuff isn't totally under control yet. So you're going to see him be up and down. A couple of key stats I'd look at for him. He hasn't been good on the road. 10.22 ERA in 3 starts. The Dinos are second in the league against right-handed pitching, 292 average. They're also third in home average at 305. Another big stat, I think, from a DFS perspective is that he's given up an average of a little over 1 homer per 9 innings, which is not good for a starter. And the Dinos are first in the league in home runs. So if you're looking for maybe some extra points through home runs, this might be your game to look at it, because he then is backed by the second worst bullpen in the league. Andrew hit a couple of guys I would have recommended. Park Min Woo, he has been the leadoff man. He hit third today. One thing I would tell DFS people to look out for is the injury status to Na Sung Bum. The Dinos 3-hitter and arguably one of the best players in the league, probably be in the MLB next season. He's been injured with a hand injury all week. Sounds to me like he's still battling it, so I'm not sure if he's going to play the weekend, but I guess you'd have to check in the morning. Another guy I'd look at is Lee Myung-ji, who's hit second for them. He's hit 300 off righties and 301 at home. Neither one of these guys are big power guys, but they get on base a ton, and they'll probably score some runs and even steal some bases. Can't go wrong with any of their power bats in the middle of the lineup, but I'm guessing they'd be more expensive, so it would depend on what way you want to go there as well. So that'd be my thoughts on that one.
Outstanding. Yeah, I don't think Wright's a bad idea to fade because I think he's going to be highly owned. He'll probably be the second or third highest owned pitcher on the slate. And I agree. I think he's done it a little bit with smoke and mirrors at times. And that FIP stat is a fantastic stat because it really, sort of pulls the drapes back and tells you it's sort of like shots saved on tee to green that we look at in golf. You really can see sort of the whole makeup of what his stats should be. So I'm cool with fading him. I like some bats on both sides here. The only problem is these two teams generally, and as is today, they're just so expensive. It makes it very hard to stack the dinos. But with the young man, 19 years old, fallen in love with this fastball, and it's only at about 90, 89, 90, maybe he's clipped 91 a few times. I mean, good hitters, if that gets a little flat, they're taking that sucker deep. So, and again, you don't get any breaks. I mean, you got to face Mo 8th and Kang 9th. I mean, that'd be 3-4 for SK and Hanwha on some of these teams. So, that doesn't even go to say with Yang and Altier and S Park. I mean, tough there. I think you got to have a couple dinos in your lineup, even if you just cherry pick a few out of there. And if you're going to do the full right fade, it doesn't hurt to maybe one-off one of the KTW bats. So, all right, I'm trying to keep my comments short because I got these two brainiac baseball guys here, and nobody wants to hear my second-rate info. How's that? All right, we have the third game, Lotte Giants 29-30, Samsung Lions 32-30, John Won Seo 4-2 with a 4.33, Chae Hyung Cha is 5-2 with a 4.06. And then our MyBookie odds on this game, we've got Samsung home favorite minus 147. And this smells like an Andrew Hansen bet. Samsung minus 1.5, you get a big fat plus 129 if you think Samsung's going to get the bats going today. And it is 10.5 on the over-under. So let's switch it up, not to throw anybody off, but let's switch the batting order and let's have Mr. Freddy lead us off this time.
Okay, I'll start from the Lotte side. Seo Junwoon, again, another young guy. 19, he was their 2019 first rounder. Couple of, hidden stats. He has a 281 batting average on balls in play. Generally most starters are in the 300, so that tells me he's been a little bit lucky with the balls that are in play. His strikeout to walk is 29-16. Again, not great, not getting a great deal of strikeouts, and that's not, again, uncommon for young guys who are still working to develop their secondary pitches. So again, I would never start him in DFS because he's probably not going to rack up high strikeout totals consistently. If you're looking for a Samsung hitter side, Woonjun has given up a 304 average to lefties, so I would definitely target Kujawook, who's the right fielder for Samsung. He's hit 336 with 4 homers against right-hand pitching, and he's hit a monstrous 404 at home. So I think he's a great play tonight. I'm not sure what his price is, but I'd have him in there. Another left-handed bat that I'd target would be Park Hae-min, who's their center fielder. He's been hitting either leadoff or not, depending on what roster construction they've gone with. But he's hitting 336 against right-handed pitchers. So I think both of those would be good plays. Woonjun does have a good slider. That's, I think, his best pitch, and he throws it in any count, which is why I think he has success against right-handed hitters, because it breaks away from them. So I don't know if I go with the right-handed bats for Samsung. Saladino, just so everyone knows, who's their probably most dangerous right-handed hitter, an import hitter, was hit by a pitch in Tuesday's game. He didn't play today. He has a muscle issue, so I'm not sure what his status is going to be for the weekend, but that's something to keep in mind if you did want to add him to the lineup as the game gets closer. From the Samsung pitching side of things, I think it's a good matchup for Choi Chae-young. Again, he's another first rounder with a high pedigree, a little bit older, 25. I faded him last week against KT due to, he's a soft tosser. He does have a pretty good arsenal. You know, he probably his fastball is 86, 88, which is not overpowering, but he does have a nice curveball slider. But in this one, Lotte is actually last in the league hitting off left-handed pitching. They're hitting only 222 on the season, which is kind of odd to me because they have a very right-hand heavy lineup. So you would think that they would be a little bit better. So either that stat is going to negatively regress very hard, or, you know, it's something that you need to target every time they face a lefty. Another stat I looked at in this one was Shea Young's had a lot of success in his home park, 197 ERA over 6 starts. Another box you can check is that he already shut Lotte down. He pitched 7 scoreless innings on May 26th. Couple of concerns, I guess, if you're going to go with him. His walk rates are kind of high. It's averaging a little over 4 walks per 9 innings. If I'm going back to that FIP number, it's 5.05, which says that he's maybe been a bit lucky. And the batting average on balls in play is 272, which again suggests he's been a little bit lucky. So I don't think he's a dominant guy. I kind of favor Samsung in this one because of the pitching matchup and just kind of the spot and the splits for Lotte versus lefties. But I wouldn't be surprised if it went the other way. So, I mean, I think Cheong might be a nice target if he's a little bit cheaper. But I certainly wouldn't pay a big price for him either because he does carry risk.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all music to my ears because I want to use Cha as a cheaper option here as my second pitcher for all the reasons you mentioned. You know, Lotte just really struggles against lefties for whatever reason. The only guy who stands out against them is Dong Hee Han, and he's really cheap, 2,800. We recommended him to our members the other night when he went off with a home run. So there's a guy that I would get as a one-off if I'm not going to use Cha, but I will have Cha in a number of lineups because of the price and the matchup. And I like the same Samsung bats that you mentioned, actually. The 2 guys I'd highlighted their price are Park and Koo. Park's only 3,100 on DraftKings. Koo is only 4,500. He's really hot right now. Multi-hit outings in 6 of his last 7. And you mentioned the home runs, the batting average for lefties. CO has given up 10 home runs overall in only 58 2/3 innings. Yeah. So I'm looking at Park, Koo, and Cha, and hoping that Samsung covers that 1.5 run line.
I told you were going to play that. I knew it. I can sniff those out. Outstanding stuff. You know, it's funny, guys. This game is one of those games that I looked at like 5 different times and kept changing my mind. So usually when I do that, you know, I respect the pitchers enough. I like some of the hitters, but the reverse splits don't add up. So this is going to be, you know, I may one off a guy here or there that fits the build, but more than likely, just because I'm not super confident in it and I like some other plays better, I'm sort of going to go to the city of El Paso on this game pretty much. So interesting, though. There are some good plays there, no question about it. Great stuff, fellas, both guys. Freddy, I have a quiz question for you. Do you know a DFS provider that has given away the last 4 weeks and will give away 2 more weeks of scot-free KBO content and lineups and PGA content and lineups? Any idea who that is?
I'm going to guess DFS Coach Talk.
Oh, my gosh. You're as good at this game as Andrew is. I think you guys cheat. I wanted to mention that real quick because, you know, go to dfscoachtalk.com, jump in. I mean, we've been it's been awesome lately. A lot of new members hopping in, a lot of KBO success. We've had a guy that's followed us on YouTube for quite some time and has just been plowing some tournaments, and he's actually joining tonight. And it's awesome. The discussion in Discord, I mean, it's minds like Freddy's and Andrew's in there chit-chatting and talking about stuff, and you know, can really help you build or make some late pivots that can get you over the top. So dfscoachtalk.com, join as a week, month, or annual member, and you get all the way up until the 30th, 14 more days. 2 days after I'll be out of locked down by then, thank God. But basketball will start on the 30th. That's when we start the clock on people's memberships. So enjoy the free time, jump in, and very simple to join. Just follow the prompts there, subscribe, and jump right in on our website. Real quickly, on Twitter, you can follow us throughout the day for any changes or information that we're going to be posting. Freddy's stuff is always going up there and is extremely knowledgeable in that information. So you want to keep up with it throughout the day. We're at DFS Coach Talk. I'm at Joe Sarvadi, JoeSarvadi. Andrew is at Language Olympic. And Freddy, why don't you give everybody your Twitter?
It's at Freddy Mills 7, so FreddyMills 7.
Perfect. And then we have to mention our superstar that gets all the ladies to join Coach Talk, and that's Sugar Shane. He's at DET Sports Shane, and he's on there as well. So YouTube, we're DFS Coach Talk, and check out our library of podcasts on there as well. We've got a lot of great NBA and MLB stuff, breakdowns of teams, etc. So check the library out of our podcasts. You can listen to us anywhere podcasts are found on the audio side at iTunes, Apple, Spotify, you name it. You don't get to see the handsome faces here as you do on YouTube to watch the video feed, but we are on everywhere podcasts can be found every day. And that is it. So let's go to games 4 and games 5. Doosan Bears and Kia Tigers. This has been a really exciting, this is a very exciting matchup. We have Doosan at 36-25, and with Kwan Yu, the lefty, 6-3 with just a shade under a 5 ERA. And my favorite pitcher in the KBO, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I know he's only 4-3, but I absolutely he's been like a personal ATM for me. I love this man. Mr. Aaron Brooks, 4-3 with a 2.52 ERA. And let's take a quick look at the MyBookie odds on this game. We have Kia minus 149, and the run line is a plus 127 for Kia. That would be courageous against Doosan, and it is a 10.5. So let's flip this one back to Andrew, and then we'll finish the fifth one, starting out with Freddy.
Well, I like Brooks. I don't love him tonight.
What?
He gave up.
Forget it. We're going to Freddy.
He gave up 11 hits to Doosan.
That's all right.
First matchup, lefties are hitting 323 against him. That's his Achilles heel. And you know me. I mean, this is the Doosan Bears lefty. So.
Oh, that's why you're a home dog favorite.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So in that first matchup, Fernandez had a single and a double against him. JLO had a double. Johan had a double. K-Her actually had 3 hits against him as a righty, including a double.
None of that came through. You must have froze up.
So I'm going to, if anything, I mean, I may make one lineup with Brooks, just in case he figures it out against these lefties. He's great with strikeouts, but mostly I'll have a bat or 2 from Doosan. And, then on the other side here, it's just funny that with an ERA almost 5, he loves pitching against Kia. 2-0 against him with an ERA of 1.5. Obviously, he's not a power pitcher, so in those 12 innings, he's only had 2 strikeouts. It's got to be because, the heart of that order is lefties. Tucker, Cha, they haven't done too much against him. Tucker's 2 for 6 against him. Cha is 1 for 4 with 2 walks. So on this one, I don't think I'm going to go with you, but I may go with a couple of the righties down at the bottom of the order, or towards the bottom. D. Huang, 3 homers on the season and 55 at-bats. He's 3,400, decent price. And then S. Han, the catcher, 5 homers, 15 knocked in at 3,800. Solid value. It's tough to get a catcher in this league that you're really excited about, but I like that matchup tonight for S. Han.
Freddy, help me out. please talk some sense into him about Brooks, would you?
I don't think you're going to like what I'm going to say either.
Oh no,
Yes.
that's okay.
Yes.
You know, it's all right to be a contrarian. I'll ride the Brooks train by myself.
No, with that said, I mean, I can't fault anyone for going with Brooks tonight. He's been one of the best in the league and has seemed to get stronger as the season has gone along.
66 strikeouts, just for the record.
Yeah, I mean, he's been great, and but like Andrew said, he has struggled a little bit with left-handed bats, and Doosan has the most left-hand heavy lineup in the league with some of the most dangerous left-handed bats. So it's a little bit scary there, and they did get to him, as you mentioned in the earlier start. A couple of interesting splits to add to it. Going into this one, this series probably has the coolest or most interesting trends or splits so far this season. Doosan is actually first on the road in batting average, 321 on the road.
Yes.
Kia is second in home batting average. If you look at the over, if you're looking at totals, it's 23 7-1 in Doosan road game and 27-1 in Kia home game. So if you look at that aspect of it, you may see some runs because they both seem to be comfortable, Doosan on the road and Kia at home. But again, with Brooks, I mean, again, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. So if you do take him, he may go out and throw a gem. It just seems to be a spot where, you know, stats-wise, he may get touched up a little bit, but I guess that remains to be seen. With respect to Hui Kwan, he's not someone I ever bet on or like to go with. If you haven't seen him pitch, I've put in my previews. He reminds me of Jamie Moore. He used to pitch with Seattle. His fastball probably 82, 83 miles an hour. So he's not going to light up any radar gun. But what I will say about him is a very smart pitcher. He has a lot of moxie. He's a lot of experience. So I've seen him this year pitch around batters even with the bases loaded, and he'll give up a run. But he knows then he likes that matchup that may be on deck to pitch out of an inning. There was a game earlier this season against the Wyverns where he actually pitched around Jamie Romack and got to the left-hand hitter on deck and got him out. He gave up a run. He walked in a run, but he got out of the inning. So you will see a little bit of unconventional stuff with him, but he's an experienced guy who, has been around the block. To touch on what Andrew said about Kia and I guess Hui Kwan's success against him, if you look at a lot of Kia's top hitters, so obviously Tucker is hitting only 241 against left-handed pitching this season. If you look at Choi Wong-woo, who's the DH who hits third, he's hitting only 250 against left-handed pitchers this season. And even if you look at a right-handed hitter, Najee Wan, who generally cleans up or hits fifth, he's hitting only 186 against left-hand pitching. So that's probably a big reason why he's had success, is that if you can hold those three in check, you're probably going to have a good chance to beat Kia. So I'm not sure what kind of stat to trust in this game. Kia's been great at home, but their key guys have not been good against left-handers. And overall, Kia is 9th in the league hitting off left-handers. They're just slightly ahead of Lotte, as I mentioned earlier. So I wouldn't know what to do with this game. There's a lot of contrasting stats to me. I certainly would not roster Hui Kwan in DFS just because he's a guy who's not going to get you any strikeouts, and he has the potential to get hit hard every time he takes the mound. It's a very tough one. If I was going to go with hitters from this game, one left-handed hitter for Kia who has had success against lefties is Yo-Min Sang, who has hit sixth. He's in and out of the lineup. He's hit 429 against left-handed pitching. So might be a guy to look at, and probably going to be a cheaper option as he's not a bigger name. If you're going with the Doosan guys, you got to go with the left-handed bats, Fernandez, JLO. Start there and work your way out. But again, a very confusing game for me, and not one I'll be betting on, and not one I would, feel comfortable with either way.
Great points, guys, both of you, really. And, it's the trend that I've seen, and it's just getting a bigger and bigger spread, and I've been on it for probably 3 weeks. Doosan on the road is way better hitting than they are at home. It's not even close. I mean, they're scoring almost 2 runs game higher. So for whatever the reason is, they are hitting better on the road, which makes me very worried about Brooks. But I'm still going to stick with my man, because even if he, in a game like this, if he gives up 3 earned runs or even 4 and can get a good 8 innings and strike out 7, 8 guys, I could live with that. But I'm not extremely excited after you two rained on my parade. So we'll see how it goes. But great points, fellas. Great stuff. All right, final game on the slate. The Kiwoom Heroes 37-26, SK Wyverns 19-43. Seung Ho Lee 2-4 with a 5.90 ERA, and Johan Kim with a very scary 0-5, 6.68 ERA. That can't be a good matchup for him against this Kiwoom team, who I have been waiting to talk about all day. But let's look at mybookie.ag, because I'm thinking we're going to have a pretty big one here. Would you like to throw a guess out there, either one of you? How much, without looking, do you think Kiwoom is a road favorite in this game against the Wyverns?
Go for it, Freddy. You probably already know.
I don't. I think, I guess -250 maybe.
All right, Andrew?
I'll say -200.
We have a winner of both showcases, -256, Kiwoom is. So nice job. And unfortunately, it's even -156 on the run line. And this is a 10.5 game. I'm going to let you guys do the breakout, but I'll just tell you this. I'm going to stack enough Kiwoom Heroes to make you dizzy. So that's all I'm going to say. All right, go for it, Mr. Freddy.
Yeah, I guess one thing to point out heading into this series is you've got one of the better bullpens in the league, who's going to have their top guys rested after not going today against, I think SK is maybe 8th now, but they're not very reliable. That'd be something to look at, I guess, from a betting perspective. With respect to this game, I don't really like either pitcher. I'll start with Kim Johan, the SK starter. He's kind of a journeyman guy, kind of profiles as a journeyman. He's only making his 9th start, and I think it's his 5th season. So right away, that should set off alarm bells, as he's not a top quality guy. Couple of the stats. I mean, 5 strikeouts to 10 walks. That's not good for a starter. He's also hit 4 batters, 3 wild pitches. So that tells you he's a guy who struggles with his control. Going back to that FIP stat, it's 6.38. So again, he hasn't been very good. If you then dig a little bit deeper, because the data is a little bit small with him, I looked at his future league stats, which is basically the minor leagues. He had a 6.39 ERA and 7 appearances there. So he wasn't any better against minor league hitting. So he's not a guy I would roster in DFS.
So you like my stack then?
I like your stack very much.
Hey, we have a winner finally.
If you're looking at where to go, again, in a smaller sample size, he's given up a 347 average to right-handed batters. So right away, that makes me start with Kim Ha-sung, the Kiwoom. He generally hits second. He's been red hot as of late. I think he has maybe 4 homers in his last 5 games. So he'd be a guy I'd be looking at for sure. We talked about Jung Ho Lee yesterday. I know he hits from the left side, but I mean, if you're playing Kiwoom, he didn't have a big game today either. That makes me think that he's probably going to bounce back tomorrow. I would start with those 2 guys and then work your way from there. From the Kiwoom pitching perspective, Lee Seung-ho, he's been a tough guy to figure. He had a really hot stretch about a month ago where he had 3-4 consecutive starts, including shutting down the Dinos. Looked like he kind of turned the corner. But, lately he hasn't been good. Over his last 2 starts, he's got hit pretty good. I think I had it here, like 12 earned runs over his last 2 starts. So that's not very good at all. It's 7.04 ERA on the road. Now, most of that damage was done in those last 2 starts. So it's, it might be a bit skewed, but hard to trust a guy who hasn't been in good form in recent games. If you ignore all of that and just look at the Wyverns offense, they're not very good. I mean, they're 8th in the league hitting off left-handed pitching. They're only hitting 253. They're 9th in hitting at home, only 241. There's a big reason why, I don't know if you guys heard, they went out and signed Tyler White, who was in Dodgers camp, which is kind of a rare thing in KBO because they went for the 2 import hitters. They'll now have Romack and White, and only one import pitcher in Ricardo Pinto, which is generally not the way teams go because, as you mentioned earlier, the pitching drops off so quick. If you don't have 2 import arms, you're generally at a disadvantage. So, but I guess they felt that it was their best option to address the hitting concerns. If you look at Sung Ho, he gives up a 333 average to lefties. SK has made a couple of changes as of late. They brought up a couple of young bats, Choi Ji-hoon and Choi Jun-woo. Those are 2 young guys in their early 20s, so they believe is part of their future. They've been hitting at the top of the lineup lately, and they both had a lot of success against lefties. Jun-woo is hitting 333, and Ji-hoon is hitting 448. So those are 2 guys at the top of the order. If you're going with the Warrants, I would start there. Han Dang-min just came back. He was injured the last 5-6 weeks. He, I think, is their best hitter. He's also had success against lefties. He's hitting 333. And then, of course, being a Canadian, I got to shout out Jamie Romack. He's not had a good year, but what he has had is success against left-handed pitching. He's hitting 341 against left-handed pitching with 3 homers.
It looks like they moved him down in the order, too.
Yeah, they gave him a day off, I think it was Tuesday, and got him back in there today. So maybe trying to take a little bit of pressure off him. But it seems like a good matchup for him tomorrow. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I like runs to be scored in this game early on. I guess based on the statistics of it, I would certainly favor your side of things, taking the Kiwoom bats, trust them a little bit more, as Sung Ho does seem to have the potential to have a good start, but who knows?
Yeah, I'll echo all that. And in fact, Romack hit a home run against this lefty. So it might be a nice spot at low ownership since he hasn't done anything here the last couple of days. 4,700, good price on him. And Lee's given up 8 homers to righties this season. And then, Coach, I'll just throw it back to you for the Kiwoom stack because I would endorse almost anybody who we play normally. KCO, H. Kim, the more expensive one, Jung-Ho Lee, and then even as you go down the order, Byung-Ho Park, B. Jian, who we gave out to our members as a key play this week, and then even the less expensive middle infielder, Hae-Sung Kim at 3,700. He does great against righties. And again, this one, is with an ERA over 6.5, is a nice target. So how are you going to decide which Kiwoom guys to stack?
I'm going to use 4 of the top 5 in the order in a couple of different builds. I like Seo, Kim, Lee, Park, and Heo. I think they're all very strong. And I even might use the catcher Lee in a lineup where I need a little extra value. So I think the first 6, in my opinion, are all very usable. I'm going to use 4 of the top 5, mix them up in a couple lineups. But I love the over in this game too. I think Kiwoom scores 10 on their own, and SK's bullpen is bad. The starter's horrible, and Kiwoom has no bullpen either. So even if Lee has a little bit better than normal start, I think SK has enough weapons in there, especially with Doug Min Han back. He's a real sleeper, and he can hit. I think that might get Romack going too. So this is my key hitting game of the day. Kiwoom's last in bullpen. So 15 runs total in this game, I think is very doable. I really feel that.
Excellent.
Anything else on that one, Andrew?
Nope.
Awesome. Thanks for letting me get my 2 cents worth in. Let's go. Awesome. All right. That is the main thing, and it's such great information. I mean, this is fantastic, Freddy. You're a natural on here. Your information is great, and we're so happy to have you as part of the team. So bizarre memories we'll have way down the road. I announce I have COVID-19. Still seems unreal. And we invite Freddy in. We'll remember that during the shutdown when we were playing just KBO, that there will be a day we'll look back and say, how did we survive those days? But look at this, we're fans. We've done so well with it. I hate to let it go. I'm going to be sad to not be rostering guys and playing these teams on DFS. But I don't have this for a fact. Maybe you know, Freddie, but I'm pretty sure DraftKings and FanDuel are going to drop KBO when the MLB comes back. Do you know if they'll still offer it, or have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything official, but my guess would be they would, just because the demand will be so high for the North American sports.
Right.
But it's just me guessing at this point.
Yeah, it's a bummer, and I think it probably will. And, FanDuel, as you heard yesterday with my outrage with their whole pricing shenanigans, they've sort of already given up on KBO. So I'm not going to beat up on FanDuel anymore. I do love FanDuel. So, all right, that is the main stuff. I want to thank our two sponsors, mybookie.ag. Definitely go there, put in the promo code Coach Talk for that 50% bonus up to $1,000 and $25 free play, and the awesome $300 literally risk-free bet at tvg.com. Also promo code Coach Talk. The easiest thing to do to get that offer is to go to our dfscoachtalk.com website and just click on that banner. It takes you right to it. Our charity of choice, we always mention at the end of every show, is mambon3.org. That's MAMBAONTHREE.org. A fantastic charity set up by Kobe's family, and we love it. We love that charity, and we miss Kobe. It has been a hell of a year. All right, that is it. Any last words, Andrew?
Yeah, I just want to thank Freddie again for jumping on here with us. It was a lot of fun. Great to break down the slate with you. And Coach, we're thinking about you with COVID here. We're all behind you, and we know you're going to fight through it. So just keep chugging along and know that we're thinking about you.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Freddie?
Yeah, I'd certainly echo Andrew's sentiments there. Certainly wishing all the best. Been thinking about you. Had a lot of fun chatting about the KBO. It's my first time on a podcast like this, so hopefully I came across okay and didn't talk too fast. But certainly a lot of fun, and I'm definitely looking forward to the games tomorrow.
You're a stud, man. All three of us are all trying to reach up there to that Sugar Shane Caldwell level. We'll all three get there one of these days. So Sugar will like that one. Yeah. All right. Thank you, guys. It's been a great show. I know we're a little longer than normal today, but you got three voices in here, but it's going to be well worth it. We're getting it up way ahead of time, so we'll post in the afternoon. And definitely jump in Discord if you have questions for us. I'm sure some folks are going to want to throw a few questions out there to Freddy. And again, fantastic to have you join the team, man. We are the best of the best, and we try to be the elite and best of the DFS providers anywhere, and adding you definitely is another differentiator for us. So have a great day, everyone. We're back again tomorrow for PGA and KBO doubleheader. It's our last doubleheader Friday, and then we're going to be switching when we have MLB and NBA. So catch both podcasts tomorrow. For sure with KBO. Andrew, is it who's on which doubleheader? You know better than me.
I think you and I have golf, and Shane and I have KBO, but don't quote me on that.
No, I think that is correct. So Check those out. Those will be fantastic. I'm going solo Saturday. Yep. So yeah, beat up the old coach, COVID and everything. I got to go solo. That's all right, you guys. I got big shoulders for a reason. No, so hey, again, great job. Terrific, and we'll catch everybody tomorrow, and definitely tune in again for both shows tomorrow and Saturday solo. And we thank you for spending this hour or so with us. Crush it, NBA, NBA. See, I've got it on my brain. Crush KBO, and let's get ready for some of the U.S. sports coming back too. This is a perfect time to join. So we appreciate you, and we will catch you again tomorrow when we look to crush it in DFS.